Hello everyone, welcome to the Material UI crash course. In today's video, you are going to learn everything that you need to know to get started with Material UI. So what is Material UI? It is one of the most popular UI framework for React. Now what is a UI framework? An UI framework is basically a combination of a bunch of pre-styled components and tools that you can use in your website. And the good thing about UI frameworks that you don't have to style everything from scratch. Today we're not going to build any kind of project. I'm going to teach you all the basic ideas with dummy examples. We're going to learn about some basic components. We will see how to add themes, our custom themes, and how to toggle between light mode and dark mode. Then we will also see how to make our website responsive with breakpoints and grid component, and also we will see how we can add our custom styles to the pre-styled components and so on. So before we get started, please consider like this video and subscribe to my channel. So without further ado, let's get started. I have already created a brand new Nextjs app. The reason I am using Nextjs because during the setup process you need to do some additional work, because Nextjs is a server-side rendering framework. If you want to use something different like Create React App or any kind of framework, please do so. You don't have to use Nextjs. In order to create a brand new Nextjs app, just run the command npx create next app, and then you have to give your app name and it will create a brand new app for you. Once you have done this, you need to install the Material UI packages. So just go to get started, then go to installation. I'm gonna copy the npm version. It's going to install 3 package: MUI Material, which is the actual package, then Emotion React and Emotion Styled. Emotion is a CSS in JS library. It is actually the engine that is generating styles for Material UI. If you don't want to use Emotion, you can use styled components. For that, you need to install different packages, which are also listed here, but I'm not gonna use style components. I'm gonna use Emotion, which is the default. So first copy this and let's paste here and let's just install. Alright, so our setup is kinda done, but if you're using Nextjs like me, you need to do some more work. So we need to also install 2 more packages, which are called Emotion Cache and Emotion/server. So let's install them. Once you have installed those packages, you need to create more files and change some pages file. So let's first go to MUI docs. Let's just go to the how to guide section and let's go to server-side rendering and let's scroll down. Here is a starter template repository you will find. So this is a Next.js app. Material UI is already set up, so you can just run these commands and you will be good to go. But if you want to use the way I will set up our application, you can just clone my repository MUI next starter YT. The link will be on the description, or you can just follow along with me. I will be just copy pasting from this repo. So first you need to go to the pages directory and open up the document.js file. Let's remove everything and let's go to the pages directory. Make sure you are using the starter branch, and let's go to document.js and let's copy everything. And let's just save and then go to _app.js file. Let's remove and let's go to app.js, and again let's just copy and now we need to create another file. I will create a directory called src, which stands for source. Sorry, not inside the styles directory. So inside the source I will create utils, also a directory, and here I'm going to create a file create emotion cache.js, and let's go to source utils, create emotion cache, and again copy everything. You don't have to understand this. So let's go to underscore app.js file. You can see that we have a component called CSS baseline. It is actually resetting all of our browser styles. Now let's go to index.js file. Actually, I will rename it to index.jsx, and let's just remove everything from here. Let's call the component home. So let's see if our application is working or not. I will run the server with npm run dev. Let's open it on our browser, and you can see this home text is printed. I will move this tab to my editor workspace so that we can see what we are doing. And let me just resize. Okay, that's fine. So let's see if Material UI is working or not. So I'm just gonna import a component. You always need to import a component from @mui/material, and then you can import any component you want. So I want to import the box component. Box component is just a container, nothing else. And I will remove this div, and I will place box component here. Okay, so let me just inspect this. I will zoom it for you. So this is the element that you can see on the screen. It has a class name, MUI box -root, and so on. If I go to the console, we don't have any error. If you didn't add the extra setup for server-side rendering, you would got an error or some kind of warning that will say something like class name from server doesn't match with client or something like that. Okay, so since I don't see that error or warning, that means the setup is working fine. So let's just move the console to the bottom. Okay, so now that we have successfully set up our environment, now let's see some components from Material UI. The first component that we're going to see is going to be the typography component. Where is that? Typography. So typography is just a component that will be used for text. So if you want to use any kind of text, most probably you're going to use the typography component. So inside this box, I can add a typography component. And let's just import. And let's add a text. This is a typography component. Okay, so here is the text, and if I inspect this, you can see that we have bunch of class added, MUI typography -root, and so on. And also note, you can see that the tag is P. What if you want to use some kind of heading like H1, H2? The way you do this is by using a prop called variant. So I'm just gonna copy this. So you need to add a prop called variant. Actually, I'm just gonna increase the size of the terminal. Okay, so we need to add a variant prop, and you can see we have a bunch of options like H1, H2, H3. So let's use H1. This is a H1 text. Okay, so now you can see the text is now bigger and the tag is H1 instead of P. Now, how do you know what are the available variants? Simple, just go to the documentation. So for every single component, there is an API section at the bottom. So just open this link on a new tab. Here you'll see all of the available props, their type, their default values, and some description. So here is the variant prop. You can see the default value is body1, but you can add these kind of variants. Let me give you another example. So this time I want the style of a button. And now this has a style of a button, and the tag is span instead of a button, which makes sense since it is a typography component. On the docs, you will see all of the variants demo. So here is all of the variants demo, h1, h2, then buttons, body1, body2, and so on. Now let me give you another example of typography component. Suppose you want the style of h1, but you want to use the p tag. How would you do that? It is pretty simple. So I'm just gonna copy this, and let's add h1 variant. The tag, you can see it's pretty big, so the tag is h1. To use a p tag, we need to pass a component prop, and that can be either string or a React component. So I'm just gonna pass p. If it is a string, it has to be a HTML tag name, valid HTML tag name. So now the text is same, the style is same, but the tag is now p. Basically, with the component prop, you can change the underline rendered tag. Now you might ask, why would we need to use component prop? Well, there are some cases you might need it, and one of these cases we will see later in this video. This is the component and the variant prop. You can also change the color. So you can pass the color prop. You can see there are a lot of color options. For example, you can pass red. Now the text color is red. You can also pass other colors like primary. And now it is blue. It is the primary color. You also have a secondary color. So this is the secondary color. And there are also a light version of it and a dark version of it. So you can just pass secondary dot light. Now the color is now a bit lighter. You can also pass dark. Now the color is a bit darker. And all of these colors are coming from theme. So now it is a good time to talk about theming in Material UI. So what is actually a theme? A theme is basically a giant object where all of the styles are stored. I'm not talking about the CSS styles. I'm talking about things like colors, what colors are secondary colors, what are going to be the breakpoints, what is going to be the default box shadow, and so on and so forth. So let me show you the theme. So just go to, just go to customization. And here you have theme section. Just go to default theme. So here is the default theme. For example, if you want to see the colors that we were seeing, just go to palette. Then here is the primary color. Then we have the secondary color. And just like I've shown you, we have the light version, dark version, and the main version is the default one. Then we have bunch of other variants. You also get bunch of options like get contrast text, augment color, and so on. Then suppose you want to check the font sizes, then go to typography. And here you will see the default font sizes. Then you can see the H1 style. We have the font family, font size, and so on. Also, another thing that the colors are different because it is currently showing us the light mode colors. Here we have a toggle button. If we toggle to dark mode, now the colors are different. And that makes sense, right? And we will see how to create this kind of toggle feature to toggle between dark mode and light mode later in this video. So now let's see how we can really use the theme and how to customize it. So to get the theme, you need to use a hook called use theme, I guess. Where is that? Okay, so we just need to copy this. And now we can call the use theme hook. So const theme, use theme. And let's just console log the theme. So let's just go to console. And here you can see the theme has been printed out. Okay. So let's see how we can customize the theme. So just go to the theming section and let's scroll down. We need to use the theme provider component, which is kind of like React context provider. So let's expand this. We need to use this create theme function to create the theme, and we need to wrap our application with this theme provider, and we need to pass the theme to the theme provider. Now note that only the children of this theme provider will get access to that custom theme. Other children won't have access to that theme. You can obviously nest theme providers, but it is not a good idea to use multiple level nested theme provider because it can get messier and also you can get some performance issue. Okay, so keep it simple. So let's just create our theme. So let's just comment this and let's create a theme variable. And obviously we need to import create theme function and theme provider. So let's call the create theme function, and we need to pass an object here, and let's wrap everything by the theme provider component. And let's just add a theme prop. Now the object that you are going to pass in the create theme function have to match with the structure of the default theme. So we want to change the secondary color, and the secondary color is inside the palette object, and the secondary object itself is another object which has these colors. So let's just pass palette and then secondary, and we need to change the main color, and the main color will be this. It is a reddish color. So now you can see the color is red, and in order to see the theme object you need to create another component. So const child, let's add a typography component. This is a child, and let's just cut this. And let's insert this component. And here we have the object. So let's go to palette, then secondary, and you can see we have this color DE0909, but you can see the dark and the light color are RGB values, not a hex value. These two values, dark and light, is actually dynamic. It depends on the main color. So now if I change the secondary color to secondary dot dark, now the color is still red, but it is a darker version of it. And similarly, I can also pass light, and you can see it is now a lighter color. So you can see it's a really cool feature of Material UI. So this is how you can actually change the theme. It is pretty simple. Just make sure you are following the structure of the original theme. So now that we have learned how to customize a theme, let's see how we can create a toggle feature to toggle between light mode and dark mode. To implement that feature, we need to use a special component, and that component name is paper. So let's just search for paper. It is very simple. It is just a div with a background color of either white or black, depend on the color mode. So we need to use it. So let's just import the paper component. Also, we will need use state. So let's just create the state. So state name will be dark, and the default value will be false. So in the palette, there is another property called mode. So it has to be either light or dark. So if dark state is true, then we want the value to be dark, else light. And for toggling the color mode, we need a switch component. So let's just see the switch. We need to use this switch component. So let's just import that. Actually, let's just first add the paper component. So wrap all of the components where you want to have this color mode feature. So I want to wrap everything. So paper. And now let's add the switch component. Actually, it will be a self-close component. We need to give it some props. Let's see. We need to give a checked prop. So checked. And we need to pass the dark state. And we need to give an onChange prop. So whatever the current value is, we want the opposite. So set dark will be opposite of the current value. So let's see if it works or not. Let's just turn on the switch, and you can see we have the toggle mode feature. And let me show you if I put something outside the paper component. I'm just gonna put this h1 text outside the paper. So let's just toggle again. You can see the color of this text is not changing. The text color is only changing inside this paper component. So this is how you can create a toggle color mode feature in Material UI. It is super simple. And if you are already enjoying this, please consider like this video. So now let's see how we can create a link that will work with Material UI and Next.js. So I'm just gonna remove a lot of stuff from here. We don't need them. Okay, so nothing here. So I will just create another page. It will be about.jsx. And let's create another component. This is about file. So let's create the link component. So inside the source directory, I'm going to create another directory, components. Oops, it should be inside source. and I'll create a file, MUI link.jsx, and I will go to my repository. So go to the source directory and components, MUI link.jsx. Let's just copy everything. And don't worry, I've also copy pasted it from the example repository and removed some unused code that is not necessary for us. So basically we have created two component. One is next link composed. It is a link component that is just totally unstyled. And then we have another component called link. This component will be actually styled. It will combine this next link composed component and the MUI link component from Material UI. So let's see how we can use them. So let's go to index.jsx file. Let's import that component. So MUI link from /source/components/MUI link, and let's use a link. Go to about page, and we need to pass href, and the href will be /about. So we have this link. You can see it is styled, and if I go to this link, and here you can see we are now at the about page. If you had only used the Material UI link component, you would had a page refresh. Now there is another use case of this next link composed component. You will be able to use this component but can have the style of other component like a button. Suppose you want to have a link, this link, and you want it to look like a button. That is pretty simple to do. So I'm just gonna copy this and I'm just gonna import the button component. And instead of MUI link, I'm gonna import the next composed link component. I'm just gonna comment this out. Actually, let's leave it. And instead of MUI link, I'm just gonna add button. And we need to pass the component prop. And the component will be next link composed. And instead of href, we need to pass 2. And now if I click on this second one, you can see that I'm now again at the about page. And if I inspect this, it is an anchor tag. Just like before, it is an anchor tag, but it has all the button styles. We can also pass a variant to this button. So variant, and variant will be contained. Now it is looking more like a button. So this is how you can use links with Material UI in Next.js. Okay, so now it is time to learn about how you can customize the styles in Material UI. There are actually many ways you can do this, but the most effective way of doing it is by using the SX prop or the styled function. Actually, let's go to customization. Then how to customize. Yeah, this page. So here are the ways you can customize the styles. The first one is the SX prop. SX prop is really useful when you want to customize the style for like single component. So let me just delete this one, and let's just delete this props. So now we just have a simple button that just do nothing. Suppose I want to change the style of this button. I want to change the background color. So for this single button component, I can just use the SX prop, which will take an object actually. And inside the object, you can pass whatever style you want, whatever CSS style you want. Just you need to make sure that the property names are camel case. So for example, in CSS, we have properties like box, shadow, but in JavaScript object, you cannot use dash inside a property name. So you have to make it camel case like this. or you can wrap this property name by the quotation marks. Okay, but for common convention it is better to use camel case instead of this quotation syntax. Okay, so suppose I want to change the background color. I can pass whatever color I want, like red, and you can see the color is now red. I want to change the padding. I can pass 20 pixel. Now the padding has also been changed. Inside the SX prop, you will be also able to pass some shorthand properties. For example, instead of padding, you can just pass P. Then instead of background color, you can just pass BG color. And it still works fine. Okay. And you can also pass theme values. For example, instead of red, I want to use secondary color. And you have to specify this time that you want to use the main color. So secondary.main. Okay, so our background color is now a secondary color. You can also pass pseudo selector like hover. So you have to pass this time quotations, and you have to pass ampersand sign, then hover, and it will also be an object. Now you need to define the hover style. So for example, I want to change the width to 100 pixels. So let's hover, and you can see the styles are now changing. You can also select nested childs. So let's go to the box component. Let's add SX. I want to use this button using a class. So let's add a class. My btn, and let's select that. So again, ampersand sign. Then we need to use my button, and now I want to change the width to 200 pixels. Actually, let's make it bigger so that we can notice. And now you can see that the button size is now 500 pixels. And one thing I forgot to mention, that you can also use the theme object inside the SX prop. So let's add a BG color prop to the box component. And to get the theme object, you can pass a function to instead of just a plain value. So theme will be the parameter, and you need to return the actual value you want. So I want to return theme dot palette dot error dot main. And you can see the color has been changed. Now it is using the error main color. So basically this is how you can use the SX prop to change the styles of the components. Now let me show you the styled function. So styled, actually lowercase s. Actually this will come from MUI/system. So import styled from MUI/system. You will need to use the style function whenever you want to create some reusable component. So let's create one. So const my container. Let's call the style function. Here you need to pass a function name, a tag name, or a material UI component. So I can pass h1, sorry, not h1, just a div. And this will actually return us a function, and we need to call that again. So again, a pair of parentheses, and inside the parentheses we need to pass an object, and that object will actually contain our styles. So I want to have the height of 400 pixels. Actually it will be in string, and background color will be red. or maybe yellow. And let's wrap the my container. And you can see we have a new container that has the height of 400 pixels and background color of yellow. Note that you won't be able to use shorthand properties like background color or P. If you want to use it, you have to customize the setup with Babel, but I'm not interested in that. You can also add dynamic styles using props. So instead of object, you can also pass a function. And that function will take props as a parameter. So I want to have background color based on the props. So I expect a prop called bg from that component. So props.bg. And now you can see we don't have any background color because we haven't passed the prop. So bg, I will pass red. Now the background color is red. I can also pass yellow. Now the background color is yellow. This is really useful when you want to add dynamic styles based on states. Okay, so this is how you can use the style function to add custom styles. So in the how to customize page, you have these 4 options. We have seen the one of customization option, SX prop, reusable component, styled function. Then you have global theme overrides. Then you have global CSS overrides, which we will not use. And then you can go to how to guides. Then the style library page. Here you will have a bunch of more options to customize style, like plain CSS, global CSS, using styled components, CSS modules, emotion, tailwind CSS, TSS, and so on. So you can explore them further, but I'm not gonna go over them. Okay, so now that we have learned how to add custom styles, it's a good time to learn how to make our website responsive using breakpoints and also the grid component. So let's search for breakpoints. So in this breakpoints page, you can see the default breakpoints. XS starts from 0, SM starts from 600, and so on and so forth. And also note that Material UI uses a mobile first approach. So whatever styles you're going to initially apply will be used for the SX breakpoint, which starts from 0 pixels. So let's see how we can use them. We can use them many different ways. There is a hook called use breakpoints or something like that. Where is that? Yeah, use media query hook. So we need to use this. So let's just copy this. Not here, here. And let's call the hook use media query. And we need to pass a string here, and the string will be the media query, like this, min width of 600 pixels or whatever the value you want. So I can just grab this. I shouldn't have written that. So this hook will return you either true or false based on this breakpoint. So let's just console log matches. And let's open up the console. And you can see that the value is false because the screen size is less than 600 pixels. So let's increase that. Now you can see the value is true. And again, instead of this hard-coded media query values, you can use the theme. So let's get the theme from the use theme hook. So const theme, use theme. So inside the theme, we have bunch of helper functions. So theme.breakpoints.up, and you can pass some breakpoint names. So I can just grab this and I will paste it here. So this function will actually return you the media query, and matches is now false, but if I increase the screen size more than 600 pixels, now it is true. SM breakpoint starts from 600 pixels and we're using the up function, which means we are detecting if the screen size is more than 600 pixels or not. Actually, let me just show you the value. So I will just copy this and let's just copy this too. And you can see the media query value. Okay, so this is how it is working. There are some bunch of other functions out there for breakpoints, but I'm not gonna go over them. Now let's see how we can use these breakpoints in SXprop. So I want to change the background color of this button based on the breakpoint. So I can add quotations, actually not quotations, I can add square brackets, then I can use this up or down functions from breakpoints. So theme, actually let's just copy this. And remember, this had returned us a media query value, so this will be equals to media query. So we need to pass an object, and bg color will be like orange. So let's just change the screen size. And you can see that the background color has been changed, and I mistakenly added the media query value to the box component instead of button component, but you get the point. Okay, then you can also use breakpoints in the value as an object. So let me show you. So instead of 20 pixels as value, I can pass an object, and inside the object I can just specify the values for each breakpoint. So XS will be 20 pixels, SM will be 40 pixel, then MD will be 50 pixels. So now it is still 20 pixel. Let's increase the size. Now it is 40 pixels. Now it is 50 pixels. So this is how you can actually use breakpoints. And you can also use these functionalities inside the style function, but I'm not going to show you. You get the point. So now let's finally see how we can add our custom breakpoints. So let's scroll down. Actually, let's go to the breakpoints page. The way you can change the custom breakpoints is by using the theme, the create theme function. So I'm just gonna grab this and I will create a new theme. I will call it custom theme, and again let's wrap everything by the theme provider component. Theme will be custom theme, not custom elements, custom theme. And I just want to change the SM breakpoint, but here's a caveat. If you want to change the breakpoint, you have to provide all of the breakpoints. It doesn't merge, it overrides the object. So for example, I only want to change the SM breakpoint from 600 pixels to like 700 pixels. If I do just like this, 700 pixels, if I just do this, then the only breakpoint it will have is the SM breakpoint. So we need to provide all of them. So we can just spread out the values object from the breakpoint theme. So theme dot breakpoints dot values, and let's spread, and let's console log the custom theme. Let's go to console, And here is the object. Go to breakpoints, then values. You can see the SM breakpoint is now 700 pixels and all the breakpoints are there. But if I just comment out this line, and now if I show you, there is only one breakpoint, which is SM 700 pixels. So this is actually necessary. And remember to use correct theme object. So we have two themes now. This is the default theme. Here is the customized theme. But here we are using the default theme. We want to use the custom theme. So we need to change it to custom theme. Okay. So basically this is how you can change the default breakpoints. And you can also add other breakpoints. For example, I can add another breakpoint, mobile, which will be 300. And again, breakpoints. Then values. We have another breakpoint, mobile, 300 pixels. Okay. So this is how you can customize the breakpoints. Let me show you one other thing. You can make the text responsive by default using a function called where is that, responsive font sizes. So let's just copy this and let's just import that. We need to call it, so responsive font sizes, and we need to pass the theme. So I'm just gonna pass the create theme function. Now our typography components are going to be responsive. So let me just show you. I will just delete this button. So let's add a typography component. You can see this tiny text, but let's just inspect this and resize the screen. You don't see any change to that font size. They only change the font sizes for the header variants. So I can add a variant H2. So we have an H2 and let's resize. You can see that the font sizes are changing. So this is how font sizes can be responsive by default. If you want to make other variants responsive, you can just directly add some media queries to the theme here, but I'm not gonna go over them. So we have learned all the basics of responsiveness in Material UI. Now let's finally see how we can make complex responsive layout using the grid component. So we don't need all of this stuff. We can just remove these things. So let me show you the docs. So grid. Now grid component is actually used for making the website responsive, to make complex responsive layouts. It is actually using CSS Flexbox behind the scene instead of CSS Grid. There are two types of grid component, containers and items. Containers are the parent and items are the children's. The container is actually a 12 column grid layout, or I should say it is divided into 12 parts. And you can specify which child should take how much column of its parent. And you can also change these values based on breakpoints. So let me just show you. Here we have this basic grid. So we have this for children's. First children is actually taking 8 column of its parent, and the second one is taking 4 column, which adds up to 12. And the way you specified is in the breakpoint props. So you have this props like XS, SM, LG for breakpoints. And here is a much more complicated example. So we have this children. This children has 2 breakpoint. So basically it is saying that on access breakpoint I want to take 6 columns, but on MD breakpoint I want to take 8 columns. So let's actually see how we can use it. So let's just import the grid component. And now let's insert grid. And let's pass the container prop. And let's create more grid. And let's pass the item prop. I will copy this 2 more times. This will be grid 1, sorry, item 1, 2, and it is 3. And let's add some styles to distinguish them. Background will be yellow. Actually, let's call it teal. Let's just copy this. So instead of teal, it will be like red. It will be blue. Actually, let's call it orange. Okay, so we have this grid items. By default, the items are not going to expand. Okay, so we have to expand them manually. So I can just pass access prop. And on access breakpoint I want it to have 12, and you can see it is taking the full width. I can pass access prop here too, so here it will be 8, then it will be 4. So now you can see we have this 2-column layout. But on the last item, what if I pass like 7? 8 plus 7 is 15, but we have 12 column grid. So let's see what happens. You can see that since this column, this item doesn't have the space, it goes to the next row. Okay, now let's see how we can add multiple breakpoints. So for access, first one should take 12. But on SM, it will take 4. So let's change the screen. Now you can see the first children is taking smaller space. And if I shrink the screen again, it is now taking the full width. We can also use alignment. In order to use alignment, we need to have spaces between the items. So currently you can see there is no space between the items. So I can make access to be 10, and access will be 6. Now you can see there are spaces. So I can align items horizontally, justify, content, center. Now they're at the center. I can also pass space between, then space around. Same as CSS flexbox, justify content property. So this is how you can align items, and obviously you can learn more about from the docs. You can create complex layout like this using the grid component. You can also have nested grids and so on. So just visit the doc, read the doc, and explore them. There are a lot of things to learn in Material UI. So that's all I wanted to show you. These are the basics of Material UI. Now you will be able to build beautiful and complex layout very easily. So that's it. If you are still watching this video, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. If you have any kind of question or if you want to give me any kind of feedback, please do let me know in the comment section. You can also find me on LinkedIn or Twitter as ThatOnJun, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.